Today, I have a really interesting talk and guest with me, Lenore, and she is an expert and a mentor in twin flames. The very first question I always ask, if there was an event or a particular time in your life that led you in this direction working with twin flames.
Everything that happens from birth is leading us to certain events in our lives, our soul contracts. With twin flame, the moment that you're referring to is when you actually meet your twin. Think of it as two polarities coming together, like they're extremely attracted. If you think of it as magnets, the magnets are pulling them together. Once they pull together and they get to a certain frequency and vibration, the magnets switch and repel. It's intense. And as that increases, you then reach soul recognition. And that is when you explode apart. That's the catalyst for the healing of ascension and awareness. The twin flame connection dynamic is a spiritual connection. So when you talk about fifth dimension, our relationship is being brought together in 3D to increase level of consciousness, awareness, unconditional love. And then that energy emanates to the world around you. It's bringing in the new earth. Twin flame essentially is about bringing in the new earth. And probably actually like NDEs, this is a brutal spiritual awakening.
Right. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. I have a feeling that I'm involved in that situation with twin flames. We incarnate in this third dimension. And is it that there are almost like contracts with another individual to come together to work through things in 3D together? Does that make sense?
Yeah, most definitely. I also feel that it's soul contract that is a thread through many past lives. And I channel that we are all fractals of the oversoul. We're our own soul in our own rights, but we vibrate at exactly the same frequency.
Okay.
So this is how it was explained to me from the higher realms.
If you look at bug trap, that's what I saw in my head. So it was verifying this idea that because it's part of the same frequency, you can't escape it. It's within,
because of their exact same vibration, then they magnetize.
And so if someone's listening in right now and they're wondering if they're with their twin flame, what are some aspects of a twin flame that you look for?
I talked before about the crazy intensity that can mimic toxic love bombing, but you're the kind of person who has never fallen for love bombing in the past, and you've had relationships that have ended and you grieve them and you move on. But with a twin flame, you can't do that. You normally have quite a short relationship to start with, so maybe 3 weeks to a few months, but it's not long before you reach soul recognition and you're repelled. Because you're so connected, you're so deeply in love, all you want is to be with this person. You know their essence. No matter how low vibrational, you see them in their magnificence and they see you in your magnificence. And all you want is to be together. But because masculines and feminines have a big pain body, they've usually had quite a bit of trauma in childhood. They've built a lot of protective ego. And that's what stops them from getting together.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So if someone finds themselves in a twin flame situation and they feel they're in that repelling stage, can you define a little more about the repelling? Like, what does that feel like? What is going on?
How do you work with the repelling? What it feels like is really painful, suicidal pain. It's not just like a breakup. It goes so much deeper. It's just like massive rejection. For me, and I know for most feminines, you have fallen so crazily in love with this person that the rejection becomes like an addiction. I remember I was going to counselling at the time because I was trying to make sense of what was going on. And I said, he feels like heroin cut with crushed glass, and I inject it, and then the glass just slices my veins and arteries and I bleed out.
Wow.
And you can't get the masculine to come in and talk to you. They don't even know why they're running. So you can't get them in to get closure or to get some kind, why are you doing this? Because they don't know why. You cannot stop thinking about this person. You're crying all the time. All you want to do is see them. You both ache to see each other. Your body, your chest, your heart aches to see this person. You can be thinking, if I can't have this person, there's no point me being here. What's the point of my life? I can't function. You might be able to get up and go to work every morning, but you don't function in any other way. You're an absolute mess. And the way you work with the repelling is dissolving that energy, neutralizing that runner chaser energy. And only the feminine can do that. The feminine has to do all the conscious work. So we'll work really hard at neutralizing and dissolving her own ego or their own ego, because it's actually not gender-based, it's all energy. So it's about dissolving their ego to neutralize the energy. It's a perfect example of quantum entanglement. I imagine the feminine as the one doing the healing and ascension. And because they're connected, as much as the masculine can be extremely resistant and caught up in lots of addictive patterns and negative patterns, which the feminine is too, but the feminine has decided to look at those and heal them. So as the feminine does this, then the masculine's got no choice but to do the same thing. And it can manifest in some massive life changes which are dictated by our higher self isn't necessarily what our lower self wants. So our lower self has to follow the higher self, kicking and screaming sometimes. I've come out the other end of that. So what I offer and what I do when I work with twins is guide them through that process to the other end.
You do counseling or mentoring, or what is it that you do in your business side of things with the twins?
I facilitate people across the painful threshold. So for most of my other life, I was a midwife helping parents cross the threshold through labor into becoming new parents. Anybody who's had a baby or seen a birth or been involved knows it's extremely soul changing and spiritual. And when you get to the other end, there's no other feeling like it. So for twin flames, there's this really painful part that can be prolonged. You can get stuck and create a looping with your twin. I feel like my purpose is to help other twins get through. So I support other twins to get over the threshold and into peaceful divine union, sacred union.